Hi, you guys. Welcome back. This is Richard Sachs, and this is Lost Arts Radio on the Sunday Guest Show. And we have a friend of ours returning from a few months ago, Maj Toure. And last time we talked to him, he was about to go to the Solutionary Summit. So hopefully we'll hear a little bit about that. And Maj is the founder of Black Guns Matter, an organization that I think is great in many ways, and solutionarylifestyle.org, which says a lot right in the title, lifestyle of everybody adopting certain lifestyle based on consciousness could make a radical difference in the world for the better. So we have enough to talk about for several weeks, and we're going to compress it into a short time here. So welcome back, Maj, and really happy to see you again.
Same here. Welcome. I appreciate y'all for having me.
So we have to choose what to talk about because there's so much going on. Mm-hmm. And I watched an interview that you had with Riza Islam, which was great. Yeah. And then another one recently about a murder that took place and the whole self-defense issue. And, and we could talk about what's going on in the world in general. Yeah. Do you want to say just, which I want to do, because kind of identifying what's happening as well as what might make it better, I think would be a really good idea. But before we do that, can we say a couple of words about the Solutionary Lifestyle Summit that happened? Because you were about to leave for that when we talked to you last time.
It was amazing. We had so many people that came from, all across the country to meet and hear people and have discussions about solutions, to have discussions about very challenging topics, but to also leave with an action item list. When we have these panels or discussions, we try to make sure that everyone leaves with, in your corner of the globe, in your little section of, your town, right, here's some things that you can do to apply the solution to this thing that we're discussing at this panel.
Sounds like enough to discuss right there for the whole show.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, 2 days of, lectures, panels, presentations. And then we had the third day for the people that paid the extra ticket. We took everybody out on a yacht, mm-hmm, cruised up and down Biscayne Bay, and we did a basic firearm safety and knowledge class, as well as a stop the bleed class where everybody ate, and it was sunny out and it was beautiful. We had a great time. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Nice. Yeah, it was cool.
I want to pack as much as we can into this short time. But so I want to ask you about the solutions, because I think you're right. That's exactly the most important thing. But before we do, just for new people who don't know about you from before, what is Black Guns Matter? And I want to give you my impression that I've got of the organization right now. It teaches firearms safety and proficiency, yes, as well as some of the aspects about when it's legitimate to use firearms in different situations. And
that's like a perfect breakdown of what we are and what we do. Okay. We understand that everyone has an innate human and natural right to defend life, protect life.
Right.
While you're in this body that you have currently, you have the right to be in it as long as you want to. And your decision to stay here should not be cut short by not having the means to defend that body or other bodies from people that don't want you to have that body anymore. Right. So one of the most effective ways of doing that is a firearm. Mm-hmm. And so, as this country was, the founder of this country, with their contradictions, as we all have, mm-hmm, they knew to put down a list of things in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, that are human rights that come with you being in this body, that government does not give and government does not take away. When you're talking about natural law and things of that nature. So defending that is one of the second one, being the Second Amendment, is the right of the people to keep and bear arms. That part is fundamental to protecting your fundamental other rights, right? The right to free speech. I get to say what I want, and then me expressing that, someone may take so much of a disagreement to it that they may not want me to be on earth anymore. So Second Amendment, right after you, first being you get to say what you want. Second is you get to defend what you just said.
right.
If need be. And so our organization recognizes that that very important right to keep and bear arms to defend life is something that urban communities have been kind of left out of that conversation, because of the racist practice of gun control, because of the, just control. Just we don't want the people to limit government. We want government to limit the people. And when I say we, I don't mean me per se. I mean certain sections of humanity that would like to control people as opposed to letting liberty be the guiding light.
Right.
Our organization, in knowing that this concentration of that misinformation is targeting urban areas because it's the most populous, highly or densely populated areas in America.
It's the easiest to control where people are close together. Yeah.
Correct. So we make sure that we concentrate on that area because that's where the ground zero of the ignorance has been cultivated.
Right.
So we go to these areas and we inform people about their Second Amendment rights, how to safely and responsibly own firearms, as well as give them somewhat of an understanding of their human and natural rights and why that's important. We also couple that with conflict resolution and de-escalation. Having a firearm is not enough. That's great. You have a firearm. Cool. I have, one right here.
Right.
That's cool. That's great. But that does not mean it's just a tool. It's just like my axe. It's just like my screwdriver.
Yeah.
It is there to do an intended purpose. That purpose is to defend life from people that would like to take life.
Right.
With that being the case, you can't go into it thinking that, a screwdriver is going to be your end all, or any tool is going to be your end all. It's the actual person behind the tool. So a big portion of that in these urban centers with our classes is we deal with conflict resolution and de-escalation. I can't just teach you about a firearm as if that's the only answer. It's not the only answer. It's a last resort to defend life.
Right.
But if you're not placing yourself in a space where, you have to run to the gun per se as a first response, that's a bigger tool. We won 100% of the fights we're not in. I won. I wasn't in it.
Right, right.
So we deal with conflict resolution. And if you happen to not be able to avoid conflict, we deal with de-escalation. If you happen to be in some sort of conflict, how can we de-escalate this so it does not turn fatal or someone's hurt, or even just a lot of things can be, it was a miscommunication. So these are all of the things that we deal with at our classes at Black Guns Matter. The Solutionary Summit is a focal point, not just around firearms, but in all of the other areas of human activity that we need solutions in. And we have just recently, got a location in Philadelphia, and within the next few weeks, we'll be opening the Solutionary Center, where you can come learn for free all of the things that, kind of like what we touched on: economics, politics, spirituality, sewing, whatever. There'll
life, basically everything in life, right?
Right. There'll be a free class, and we have anyone that wants to come teach a free class that we will be operating off of donations to the 501c3 and people just, helping. So if you want to teach a class, you're good at something, you want to come and get in our network and teach a class to people that could learn, you want to give.
Okay.
You want people that want to receive, you can come up to the classes and put it on.
And that's in Philadelphia, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
And so if I was in Philadelphia, would I have a problem being excluded because I don't have the right skin color or not?
No. Well, that's the funny thing. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because it's ironic, right? We'll hear sometimes some people will say the Black community needs to, or urban centers, Black, whatever color, insert whatever thing, right?
Yeah.
Communities need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. And there are certain issues that are unique to each community. If I live in Brentwood or if I live in Beverly Hills, right?
Right.
The issues that I have in Beverly Hills will not be the issues that I have in North Philadelphia, generally.
Yeah.
As a community. And when you want to fix those things in a community, the people that live in that community need to address it. Right. Hands on. That does not mean that Beverly Hills hates Compton. It just means I live in Beverly Hills or I live in Compton. I have to deal with the community's issues. If I lived in an all white, let's say if I lived in Scottsdale, Arizona,
Right.
and I happen to live in an all white neighborhood, and within, that 10 block, whatever, however many mile radius, it was majority white. These are the issues that we have to deal with in this community. Urban communities is where I've lived most of my life. That's where I live now. I live in an urban community.
Right.
I want to present tools and solutions to that community, not to the exclusion of others. The reason why, when you have what's called allies within other communities that genuinely want to come help, because they recognize that our fates are intertwined. When they recognize that, it is the most foolish thing in the world, to me, maybe not someone else, to reject that person because for something as trivial as skin melanin content or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you do that, you kind of reinforce some of the similar ideology that you're fighting against. Now, this does not mean that I'm not going to say there are certain issues that are community specific. Some things you got to fix yourself. The irony is sometimes when people say, I gotta fix these problems, I got to deal with these issues, right? Then we'll have somebody go, oh, well, you're being exclusionary. And it's like, nah, we just got to deal with these communities. People can come help because they might recognize, no, your community's been targeted. They may really recognize that and genuinely want to help. So no, everyone is free. It's free to all. Everyone can come learn. Or some people may have less melanin than me, but know more about a topic than I do. I don't know how to crochet. If there happens to be a suburban white woman that knows how to crochet, or a white dude that knows how to crochet, and they want to come teach a class, who's to say that one of the teenagers that take the class may start a crocheting business and make $10 million a year off of crocheting?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, no, the short answer is no, there is no exclusion. The exclusion is based on if you're there to create problems, then we're going to ask you to leave.
Well, yeah. I mean, no matter what color you were, that would be true.
That's just what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's really the play there. But we are in a Black community. Most of the people that, everything is demographics. When I do a class in Seattle, most of Seattle is predominantly white. So there may be a lot of white folks that come to the Black Guns Matter class. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're not Black enough, you can't come. I'm not Joe Biden. I'm not going to be like, you ain't Black. You know what I'm saying? Well, so
a couple of things that I really like about the organization Black Guns Matter. One is that you're not trying to escalate violence.
No.
And a lot of people misunderstand about guns.
Yeah.
They've been intentionally misled about them, thinking that guns make you violent and crazy. And that's great, except it's completely false. The other thing is that you're not excluding people according to demographics and race and color. No. And if you have an organization called Black Guns Matter, people might think, if they're superficially looking at it, oh, you're against anybody who's a different race, but that's not your point of view. And I think that's incredible. What you're doing is bringing back the use of a tool into a wise point of view.
Right.
And it just makes it obvious it doesn't create crazy people.
The reality is you have to deal with the issues that our nation, whether that's, let's say if you happen to be an indigenous American, let's say you're a Lenape, right?
Okay.
I'm in Pennsylvania. The Lenape people were here predominantly before colonization in America. Okay. That is a fact of history.
Right.
William Penn did trade with the Lenape people, and Philadelphia was initially like hey, you can do free trade, but women can have business here, all of the things it was really called Rebel City, because it was like, listen, we're about freedom and liberty. If you happen to be a Lenape person and you have issues with how our nation and our past has dealt with the Lenape or indigenous people outside of how William Penn dealt with it, that is a reality. And to talk about that and create restorative justice around that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, some people will say, well, the Native American people got to get their thing together on their own. But then when they start doing it on their own, right, not even excluding anybody, just saying, hey, these are issues that impact our community. They started here, and they've manifested to this point here. Then some people will say, oh, you're being separatist. Which one is it? If you said you wanted people to clean their communities up, if I say, hey, I live in Beverly Hills. I want to clean up this problem X in Beverly Hills.
Right.
It's foolish to then go, you must not care about Compton. It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
If like I'm smoking a cigar, this potentially could lead to cancer in people. If then I say, hey, because that's important, if let's say somebody I know caught cancer from smoking, lung cancer, and I'm like, yo, man, we got to talk about the importance of lung cancer. Imagine if somebody said, that means you don't care about thyroid cancer or you don't care about breast cancer. It's like, what are you talking about? So it's an approach to pull communities up by the bootstraps, hands-on from the people that live in that community without a confrontational approach to any other community. Also, without denying assistance from people from other communities that recognize the problem in that community and want to assist.
Yeah. And I just think that's incredible. I mean, it's simple, but it's incredible because the environment we're living in doesn't recognize simple truth. You know, it makes everything complex and misleading. And we can get into that, but I want to know, it has to be really brief, but what kind of solutions did they come up with from the summit?
On the economics form, one that I thought was very great was Dr. Boyce Watkins and his wife, Alicia, who's also literally like a psychiatrist, right? Okay. Psychiatrist or psychologist. I get both of those mixed up a lot. But either way, she's accomplished in her own right. I want to say that because I don't want to just say Dr. Boyce's wife. She has her own, she's a PhD.
Yeah.
She knows her stuff. Right. They did a panel together where they were talking about relationships. And one of the things that I thought stood out so much was how well they recognized when they're disagreeing and just were okay with the disagreement. Mm-hmm. You know, and like one of the tools that came out of that was, you know, when you find someone that you're disagreeing that you care about, it's okay to say, hey, we're going to remind each other that we're friends.
Exactly.
You know, like, hey, I'm mad at you, but I'm going to remind each other, hey, I love you, but I'm super mad at you. Again, it's a simple truth. It's like, oh, man, how many times have you found yourself in a heated argument and you're in mind automatically thinking, yeah, I got to completely get away from this person and they don't understand me and I don't understand them and it's never going to work, as opposed to taking that one split second, slowing down and saying, hey, I want to remind you that I care about you and I know that you care about me. Right. And we're arguing right now about two positions, but we're friends. Right. I thought that was such an impactful and simple truth and simple tool.
It goes beyond position.
Because it does. And it's so simple that the application of it becomes difficult. You literally have to let go of the gas that you're pumping in the middle of that argument and not even push the brakes. Right. Just let off the gas. We're not slamming on the brakes yet. We're just letting off the gas a bit. And the things will slow down a little bit on their own. Yeah. Then when you get to a place where you can slow it down with brake, then you go. But, you know, we become so emotionally attached to being wrong or even better, because you could be right, but emotionally attached to our position that we destroy an entire relationship with an actual human that lives and breathes that you actually care about.
I think a lot of it's subconscious too. You know, people can do that automatically without realizing what they're doing.
When shown how you're doing it and going, damn, I do that. I actually do that. Then you can get some traction and going like, oh man, I think especially if you have a willing partner that's going to gently pull your coat and remind you, hey, you may be doing that thing that we talked about. Right. You know, I thought that was one of the most impactful solutions, because it translates beyond whatever the topic is. If you're arguing about finance, if you're arguing about, you know, the food that you left in the refrigerator that your partner ate and didn't ask you. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter
yeah.
what you're arguing about. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a very impactful situation, and that ties into the overall lesson of conflict resolution and de-escalation.
So it's all based on understanding some deeper level where we're all okay and we're related to each other, and we could run off on different tracks based on our thoughts and what we get into at the moment, but it doesn't change the underlying relationship.
And that's beautiful. It's okay to disagree and still be friends.
Yeah, yeah. And you could expand that as wide as you want.
Yep.
Not just one person.
Yep.
So in a way, what you're saying is this is all an exercise in bringing these ideals, this simple wisdom and everything that you get in touch with into real life.
It's easy to tweet it.
Yeah.
But the challenge is to get out of your own way with all of these virtual realities, false ego, constructed things that aren't actually like valuable.
Right.
When you start deconstructing and reverse engineering, and you get back to this empathy for how somebody else may feel, even if I disagree with them, how they may feel, really you start to recognize all of this shit is just conversations with different versions of you.
Yeah. You mean in the other person?
In the other person.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, if you knew that, if you really knew that, who is there to fight with? Because it's all you.
The challenge is, man, I'm having a stubborn time with this lesson in that other version of me that's showing me that.
But you're saying maybe you've got the power within yourself to change the whole situation.
You do. Your reaction, if there's even a need for a reaction.
Right.
You know, all of these things are very internal, and the rabbit hole goes very, very deep in that regard. And some of the things, I'll give you a perfect example, right? I said, man, I really need somebody to give me $100,000 for this next phase of our work. I said this.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, I've been saying it. Yesterday, somebody gave us $125,000.
So did you complain because it wasn't exactly 100?
Right. Right. It's like, damn it.
Yeah.
These are things that, and that ties more into when I shifted my thought process into service. I didn't say my favorite car is a Bentley Continental GT. Mm-hmm. I didn't say somebody should buy me a Bentley, and somebody should, and it'll show up. I'll have one. I already have it, really.
Yeah,
I already have it.
It just hasn't shown up in physical form.
Right. So, but the thing that has been very beautiful about this walk with being this solutionary center, all of these different things is I've made more progress, by service, by going, man, if we have this, we could serve so many more people in this thing that initially started as gun related and firearms. It really is more about protecting this body while you're learning stuff, right? So you can be here longer to learn the lessons that you're supposed to be learning. So
it buys you some time, right? To do everything.
And so it's like, all right, cool. Let me cut down on my negative, SAM scars, if I'm pronouncing that right. And while I'm doing that, as I've been doing that, that lesson started to go into other things. So then it becomes, hey, how do you stop a guy that has a gun that doesn't value his life? Well, you teach him more about how valuable he is individually in service to the collective as well. So both your individual and your collective. So then you go, man, if I can get more people to do that I can reduce the crime rate, businesses will be better, people will be better, Then you start thinking about more ways to serve to get that mission accomplished. Mm-hmm. Then when I've started thinking of it that way, I'll start saying stuff like, man, I really need somebody to give us $100,000 and someone gives us $125,000.
And you're saying the reason they did is because you're trying to be of more service.
Mm-hmm. my so-called needs, right? My needs are far more handled than need. What I desire, for lack of a better term, is for more people to have this experience that I'm currently having in the form of service. Right. I have literally traveled the country to serve and have saw some of the most beautiful and wonderful things by just serving. This isn't a job. It's a vocation. It's work.
Right.
Job is like, work is challenging, but it's something that's rewarding and it's joyous when you get these outcomes and even in the process. So me wanting more people to understand they matter, more people to, have the means to defend their value systems, more people to be confident in expressing how they their truth, right? What they genuinely believe, right? Their value system. Me wanting all of these things for myself because or wanting this for other people because I recognize how great it's been for me. You want to serve more people, and in serving more people, which is just reflections of myself, it seems like I'm talking more to myself. So since I'm talking more to myself is giving me back the stuff that I asked myself for, if that makes sense.
What it does is it makes it effortless to care about everybody else. It's just automatic.
I'm a candle lighting other candles and I'm still lit.
Right. It doesn't use up your light. It's really beautiful. So you're going to do this center in Philadelphia, but your thoughts must go to spreading it way beyond that.
We're going to. Philadelphia has close to 500 homicides this year. Unfortunately, we may break the most homicides that we've had in Philadelphia history this year. Some of that is due to businesses being shut down, people attached to economics in a way that they feel like they got to do stuff.
Right.
Suicides are up, all of these things. We have an intended goal of reducing the violent crime in Philadelphia by 25% in 1 year. Doing that, we'll be able to show, hey, our work in service has made it less violent crime. Then we have more of me's in different bodies that'll say, I'll put some more resources to that and we can scale it.
It's natural cloning of Maj.
Yep. Scale it out and show this is what we did. We did this before in 2016 by accident. We weren't on a tour. We were doing most of our classes again in Philadelphia. When the violent crime rate stats came out for 2016, Philly had the lowest violent crime it had since 1979 that year. Then ironically, 17, 18, then we started touring. Every year that we were doing less and less classes in Philadelphia, the violent crime rate increased up until 2021, this year, where we may be breaking the most homicides we've had in Philadelphia history. Now, to show up and then drop that by 25%, it becomes undeniable, And
it would be really obvious that something good happened.
Yep. That's the part that's where my current interest and goal, next mission, to accomplish lies. And that's what I'm super excited about the Solutionary Center.
And that's kind of a microcosm of the world in a way, right? It's just if it could happen there, then scaling shouldn't be an issue.
Especially when you have more me's or us's.
Yeah.
Seeing it manifest, and then it's more belief that pours into it. It makes it more concrete faster.
I mean,
then those me's or us's start to go, hey, it's no different than in the beginning, it seemed to be more difficult to get people to donate money, right? And I get it. What do we know what this guy's going to do with this money? What do we,
Yeah.
Then when you show improve after a while, and then years go by, because some of these people have watched our work for years, and then they're going, All right, cool. I'll give 25,000. Okay, I'll give. Now, when we do this and then say, hey, we are going to cut down violent crime in New Orleans next time, then it's scalable. And if we did it with this small amount of money, imagine how much more service we could do with this amount of money.
Right.
So it's just showing and proving this is on so-called on-the-job training in service of communities that need this type of information or tools more so than other places. And
so what's the basic way to understand how you do it, how you reduce the violent crime?
When you teach young people about conflict and what it is, and more importantly, what it isn't, and then show them television and media generally shows one side of a conflict through television, video games, whatever. It's like, I'm tough, I'm the bad guy. Even if I'm the hero, I can shoot somebody and nobody comes. John Wick can shoot 300 people in a movie and nobody, there's not even a conversation about jail.
Right. Because he's the hero.
Because he's the hero. And you're looking at it through that lens. The reality is, you might shoot someone and spend 23 hours of your day in solitary confinement and 1 hour out for the rest of your life for that shooting.
It's kind of a drawback, right?
So when you show young people that, one of the exercises that we do at our classes is we say, okay, cool. You're going to stand in this corner here. You can hear everybody. You know what everybody's doing, but you're going to stand in this corner for 10 minutes and you can't turn around. You can't use your phone. You can't do anything for 10 minutes. Sometimes we put them in the bathroom. That's 10 minutes. And it seems like the longest time in the world.
Right.
And I go, bro, you can come out whenever you want. When you think 10 minutes is up. When you think 10 minutes is up, so many people are out in 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. And they're like, yo, it seemed like it was long as hell. And it's like, okay, cool. That was 8 minutes, whatever the amount of minutes was. Now, would you want to do that for 1 hour every day? But not sitting down, just standing up in the corner, in the bathroom. Would you want to do that, forced to do that for 1 hour a day for the rest of your life? They're like, hell no. Now, after they say hell no, it's if you use a firearm unjustifiably for something stupid that could have been handled with a conversation or walking away or de-escalating, forget 1 hour a day, 23 hours a day, you may be in a room isolated. If that's worth it to you, then cool. But to me, freedom is everything. Right. So if I'm giving up my freedom, it better be for something very, very righteous, not because of I was trying to prove that I was John Wick.
Yeah.
That is a very impactful. You see those light bulbs go off, especially with the young men.
Wow.
You see those light bulbs go off like, damn, I never even thought about it like that. Right. You haven't. And now that you have, let's maintain a safe and responsible gun owner that wants to use that tool to defend life from actual bad guys.
Right.
And not get caught up in a system that's going to package you as a bad guy just because you made a hasty move based on what television or media turned you into a Manchurian candidate that you just respond when this thing happens as opposed to slowing down and thinking. And that's been very impactful for us as a tool.
That's an incredible example. So if you can get that in front of more people in any given location like Philadelphia or New Orleans or any place, that starts changing numbers because these people talk to other people.
Right.
And it spreads, right?
Right. It's a positive virus. You know how people say, oh, they went viral. Root word being like virus.
You want a positive pandemic of wisdom, right?
That's what I want all day long, and doing it in a manner where we're not judging anybody. We're not saying it almost becomes like this ain't about guns.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you said you saw yourself in other people, that's so important. I mean, I think it's really critical to get these young kids to understand the 23-hour concept. But if you could also somehow figure out how to get them the experience of looking at everybody else as themselves, everything would change.
Well, we do. That's where culture becomes very important. When you understand the culture. So for example, I have a pair of Yeezys and I have a pair of Marty McFly Nikes. These sneakers were $10,000, right?
Yeah.
They're an investment. Got them years ago.
That's the guy from the movie Back to the Future or something,
Yes.
right?
It's the sneakers are based off that character's sneakers in the movie.
Okay.
So when I tell young guys about, imagine you put on whatever your coolest pair of sneakers are, and you go to a bar, you go to a club. It's a bunch of beautiful women, because I'm usually talking to guys about this.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of beautiful women. The drinks are flowing. Music's great. Everybody's having a good time. People are dancing. Somehow you got your firearm in the club just for protection. But a guy steps on your sneakers. And I say, how much are the sneakers? Man, my Yeezys was $600. Cool. You step on a sneaker, the guy pauses and turns around and looks at you. What do? Now, some guys will say, yeah, like, why is he stepping on my sneakers? Da, da, da. And it's like, okay, cool. You could look at it that way. Or you could say, this person, like me, in this place, is drinking, is enjoying the beautiful women, having a great time dancing. He's not thinking about me, just like I'm not thinking about him until he made the mistake of stepping on my toe. And more than likely, it wasn't intentional.
Right.
Would you step on somebody's toe? And the guys will be like, man, I'm not even thinking about no dudes if I'm in, and there's so many beautiful women and they're open and they're happy and having a good time. Right. So if you stepped on somebody's toe in that space, would you be intentionally doing it? And they'll go like, nah, I wouldn't be. And they'll go, okay, so that guy probably is the same thing. And they're like, nah, you're right. And then I'll go, now here's where it becomes more self-responsible. You knew that you were going to the club that whatever performer was there was going to be. You knew that the club was going to be packed. You chose to wear your most favorite expensive pair of sneakers into a location where there was going to be a bunch of people dancing and not paying attention to your sneakers.
Right.
You may have had something to do with that. And if you think you didn't, then that's like saying you don't control your fate.
Right.
And you made a series of choices. It's like, damn, I've had guys in the class in separate cities say, damn, man, next time I go to the club, I'm wearing some old sneakers.
That's good.
And that culture, whether sneakerhead culture is a big culture, whether it's that, whether it's dancing, whether it's just take that moment to evaluate from your perspective. Would you be thinking about that dude that's behind you when you dancing with a beautiful lady, but it just happened to be crowded, And then another example that we'll say a lot of times is I'll say, now imagine if that guy turns around, looks at you and goes, excuse me, after he stepped on your shoe. Now we take that guy from forgiving to like, damn, why is he talking to me like that? He stepped on my damn shoes. So then we have the lesson about tone. So if that person said, excuse me, or if he said the same words in a different tone,
right.
When he said, excuse me, now it's no longer an issue. Same words. So then we take them into spiritual concepts of tonation. Tones is vibrations.
Right.
Right here, I have a Tibetan singing bowl. It's vibrations. It's vibes. When people say, they had a good vibe. They had a bad vibe. It's a vibration. It's a tone. So then we start to think about, damn, just like I wouldn't want that guy to give me that wrong tone or vibration, I got to be checking myself I got to give myself a vibe check. Right. When that thing happened, how was I saying that? Words and spelling and sentences, these are incantations.
Absolutely. It's not the word, it's the energy behind it.
So now we get to a deeper concept. And when you can I'm a translator. I can translate these concepts to people in a manner that they can receive them well. And that's a way that we're able to influence and implement this thought process, especially to younger people that, you know, they know I'm not judging them. They know our guys, we ain't judging them. We was right where y'all was. We just telling you how to maneuver through this mud a little bit better, elevate.
What about if people ask you about the larger situation that's going on in the world right now, where you've got public agencies and governments clearly moving at an accelerating pace toward enslavement and extermination?
You make them slow up. You make them slow up by your choices. If you are okay, I take a different approach. If you are okay with that, then do nothing. They're going to do it.
Right.
But if you're not okay with that, if you choose freedom and liberty, you stand in your truth. Your life matters. You have value. You have the right to say, no, thank you. I disagree. Right. Now, will it be challenging? Will some businesses say, you can't come in here without a mask? Cool. I won't give you my business.
Right.
Then the question becomes, just like the sneakers that you chose to put on, then the question becomes, the thing that you're going there for, could you be in a better economic, political, and social position if you maybe that didn't go into that bar so many times? Maybe life is showing you that maybe you could save your money a little bit more. Maybe you enjoy bourbon. Maybe the money that you save, like there's a lot of micro breweries and breweries around Philadelphia now. Why don't you think you could own one of those breweries? You really like beer. Do you want to invest some of that money back into having your own company supporting that? For self. I mean, if that's what you into.
Yeah.
When you resistance can be firm, but it doesn't, and I can still respect everybody else's jurisdiction on their stuff. Well, I don't want my business to have that rule. So I don't have a business, and I've been giving you my business and you don't respect my view. So since you don't respect my view, okay, cool. I'll go be the thing that I want. Now, if you're okay, that's why we lead in with, are you okay with what they're doing? If you're okay with it, continue to support them, continue to financially empower them, continue to give them money, continue to do all of that. You don't have to do anything but what you've been doing because you're okay with the enslavement direction that it seems to be going in. There's no judgment. It's not a statement of judgment on the act. It's just, what do you actually want? Yeah, I want a world where more people. Now, for a minute, it may seem like there's a form of segregation happening. And there is.
Yeah.
People that value freedom and liberty and people that want to be lorded over. That's fine. If enough people, and I believe that there's more people that want freedom that need to have practical understanding of how they can apply that freedom and recognizing that initially that's not going to be all peaches and strawberries. It's not going to be super easy.
No,
However,
one thing we need to do is set up a parallel economic system so that these thousands of people that are getting fired for not going along with orders that are, suicidal type orders, they need to have somewhere to go.
Boom. The Malcolm X said during a time when racism was like real, violent, right? Mm-hmm. Malcolm X said something I thought was so beautiful. He said, if you say, and at that time, I'm talking like my grandmother and great grandmother's age, they lived through a certain level of bigotry, racism, and violence that I'll never experience. Hopefully.
Right.
He said, if you think the white man is giving you hell, then set up a factory. If you can't set up a factory and a business in your community like the white man does and has done, don't complain about that person. And I thought during that time, that's an era where you could be like, well, it's kind of messed up. Yeah, it's messed up, but you still have power. So if Malcolm X advocated for that, and he was 100% right during those legitimately more horrific times in regards to race relations in America, especially towards Black folks, right?
Sure.
If he could say that then, there is literally very few things stopping you from applying that right now.
So he would say, build something now, build something new, right?
Build it. Because when people come into the Solutionary Center, hey, if you want to wear that, when people come to our classes, if you want to wear that mask, you can. If you get tired of people saying, what'd you say? What'd you say? I can't hear you behind your mask.
Right.
You can take it off.
Right.
I'm not judging you. If you have a pre-existing health condition where you feel like that piece of cloth is actually stopping a horrible virus, cool. For your own feeling, you can keep it on. Usually at the end of the class, everybody done took that damn mask off and they having conversations. They getting back to actual interaction with people.
Yeah.
So the level of empathy and understanding with a firm hand of, it's what you want. I don't wear masks or even on airplanes every time. When I go into businesses that say, do you have a mask? I say, I don't have one. Can you give me one? And usually a lot of them say, oh, we don't have any, but just next time, can you? I say, okay. And I go do exactly what I wanted to do anyway.
And what happens on the airplanes?
On airplanes, I might I'll like put it on my ear for a second, get on the plane, and then I'm on the plane and they're not bothering me.
Oh, okay.
Now, do I get a overzealous flight attendant every now and then? Cool. But you know what we did? When I don't want to deal with that, I went to go buy a RV.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like Malcolm X said, build something different, right?
It becomes are you willing to discipline yourself to not be a part of the thing that you don't like? I don't like that my city has close to 500 homicides before Turkey Day.
Right.
I don't like it. I'm going to do something about it. I don't like governmental overreach. So I'm not going to overreach into somebody's life. I don't like that they can trick people through mainstream media to convince them to operate in their own disinterest. So I'm going to create alternative platforms. And even if it's not a platform, even if it's just me communicating, I'm going to, in that certain section, build that bubble of liberty and expand it outward with people that will come and can listen to it and just share perspective. Right. I'm going to have more and more people on what I like, supportive of that in my little universe. Yeah. And then those people will make the decision. No, I like how I feel at the Solutionary Center more than I like how I feel in some places that's going to judge me because I want to be free and autonomous.
Right.
And then those people will create their universe. And it's a domino effect. It's a butterfly effect.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's beautiful. Instead of complain, create. Right. And since we're almost out of time here, what are the ways that people can support your expansion to do this on a bigger scale and better where you are as well?
Everyone that's listening to this, man, resources are very important. I mean, we're going to get the work done. And I trust the universe, and I trust humanity.
Right.
I think there's way more people that may feel like they have less power than an oligarch or a so-called elite person that wants to subjugate people. There's way more people.
Yeah.
Right. If we all said, hey, that young man and his team are already doing the work, I want to financially support them. Just give $5, 500, 50, 55, 500,000, whatever. We're close to, I think we're maybe $18,000 away from $500,000 raised and given away over the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
When I say given away, I mean for the classes, to make sure that the classes are free to all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you see that that's something that you value and like, hey, man, I want that to scale up. I don't want to support that team's endeavors in doing that. Just give to the GoFundMe, GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter. Every donation is posted. Everything is fully transparent. Even GoFundMe donations are 100% tax deductible.
Right.
So that's that. And that's how they can support in that regard locally for building a Solutionary Center. Because in 2022, we're going to have a hard concentration on Philly to get that crime rate down 25%.
Yeah, I want to watch it. If I was there, I'd come to all your events for sure.
So it's going to be so beautiful, man. It's going to be so beautiful. We're going to have people, home economics, cooking, all these interesting things that, you can save a lot of money by like cooking in the house.
Right.
Like, so little things like that.
You're helping to create the new civilization. and the spirit behind it is incredible. I'd like to see it everywhere. So everybody should support everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We need more time to talk, but we'll get to that. So hold on and we'll say goodbye in the break here.
Sure.
There goes Maj Toure. I was saying it wrong before, Maj, but it's Maj. Doug got that straightened out. And he's the founder of Black Guns Matter, and I think he's doing great work myself. Totally non-racist, totally non-violent. He's somebody who could teach the wisdom of not just the Second Amendment, but the natural right that it reflects, which existed before any amendments of any kind were ever written. And it's a right of self-defense, using the tools you need to, being firearms at the moment, but not to trespass on anybody else's rights, not to preemptively attack anybody, not to do anything that is intrinsically immoral. And I think Maj is teaching that to people. And his goal in Philadelphia, as he said, for the next year is to drop violent crime by 25%. And I think he could do it. He's had an impact like that before. Anybody that wants to support it is invited to support Black Guns Matter. And I think you could find out where to do that on solutionarylifestyle.org, solutionarylifestyle.org. I'm pretty sure I wrote that down right. And what struck me the most in talking to Maj is his comment, not just because of the comment, but because of the real energy behind it, that he sees himself in other people. Wow, that's incredible. Not because it's a new idea, because it's the basic idea of loving your neighbor as yourself, basically. Otherwise, it's make-believe if you don't see them as yourself. And so I didn't prompt that, he brought it up. And he's obviously living it, helping diffuse violence and de-escalate situations and teaching people safety and cooperation and life skills in the center that he's going to start. Is just inspiring and encouraging to me to hear what he's doing. So support him. Check out his website, solutionarylifestyle.org. Black Guns Matter is on YouTube, which is amazing, but great. And what else can I say about that? I just think it's a spirit that could translate to anybody's community anywhere. And one of those communities is the whole world. And what I'd like to see is that spirit regain its original power, which by resonance could change like a wave, like he mentioned that he would like to see a viral pandemic of wisdom. And it could even infect the people who are playing the role of bad guys now, because they're playing the roles very convincingly and causing a lot of horrible things by what they're doing. But underneath that programming, they're reachable, maybe not consciously, but on a subconscious level. And when Maj started talking about frequency of consciousness being something that you can spread, I think that's our main option that has enough power to reverse the direction things are going in the world right now and give more energy to the light side of everything that makes people realize we're all one being in different bodies. And at that point, there's two ways to get world peace and harmony. One is if you eliminate all the people, which a lot of our rulers clearly want to do, and to save the earth, right? And make the animals happy or whatever they're saying. And the other way is to realize that it's one being in everybody. At that point, all the conflict and wanting to hurt each other is over, because it's not each other, it's you and everybody else. And Maj is out there consciously working for that. I think it's incredible. So anyway, I won't keep repeating that. I think you can tell, and take a look at his other interviews. They're really good. Risa Islam was one of them, and it's easy to find on YouTube and the other channels. So that's about it. this is our Sunday show. We have a Saturday show too, which most of you know about, called Lost Arts Radio Live, Saturday afternoons, U.S. time. And you can stay in touch with all those shows at lostartsradio.com. Find the platforms that we're on that are free speech, and any platform that is not doing shadow banning and censoring, you can support. And if you want to keep us on the air and keep us going and fund our projects, there's a donate button at lostartsradio.com that would be greatly appreciated for you to use if you can. And also a subscribe star link that's right with it, also at lostartsradio.com. That keeps us going because we're not really doing commercials at this point. If I recommend something, I mean, I don't mind if that works out, that we get a sponsor that I can feel comfortable with. But at the moment, if I recommend something, it's because I actually think it's good. And maybe I used it or found out about it. And I like the freedom of that. But donate to us if you can and help us spread the links, because there is a lot of blockage out there. And if you can help us reach more people, that would be better. Planetary Healing Club is on right after Lost Arts Radio Live, half an hour every Saturday, half an hour after it ends every Saturday afternoon. And members get the archive, so they don't have to make the live time if they don't want to. But with that, we're live every week talking about forbidden information of all kinds, health information and consciousness, deeper information like we touched on with Maj today, but taking it to deeper levels and specific personal interactions, relationships, situations that you might be in. Get into a lot of interesting things. That's planetaryhealingclub.com, and I'll see you there. I think that's about it. So I hope you have a good week. Hope you found a good weekend, or whenever it is that you're watching this. I hope everything's going well for you. Value yourself. Remember the things that Maj said today about the huge potential that you have. Develop it consciously. Get into it. Get your health back. Do whatever you can to help yourself. And it's the most generous thing you could do for the world, because we're all actually one being, like Maj was saying. It's you and everybody else. When you realize that, it's all different. Things start getting better. So thanks for being with us. I appreciate it. And have a good night. And we'll see you here next time. Thank you.